LA Knight was backstage on Raw Monday night. He was giving Adam Pearce hell for cozying up to Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. He was talking about Roman's Oofalafa. It was actually very entertaining, as was his interview with Chris Van Vliet this week. It was a very good watch. I encourage you to go check it out. One takeaway is that he feels his crowd reactions are not as strong as they used to be because creatively he's been a man without a direction. This was his full quote. I think there were a lot of people leaning on the idea that that was going to be a fad. There were a lot of people leaning on the idea that that was going to be a flavor of the month, that that was going to be a passing thing. Here we are in 2026. I walked in the ring last night. Now, you could argue, yeah, maybe the reactions are not quite as big as they were at that time. I'm going to tell you why that is in a second. But if you noticed last night, I still circle around, I get the thing, and I stand there and they still chant the name. Now, you could say that's programming. You could say that's passion. You could say it's whatever it is. Bottom line is, it's still there. However, the reason it's not as big as it is because right now I'm just kind of a man without a country, so to speak. Well, he's like Sergeant Slaughter in 1992. I don't have a set trajectory at this moment. If you look at last summer when I started, all of a sudden me and Seth were going at it for the title. It's me and the Vision. There it is, renewed again. So it's a matter of just making sure I've got direction. I've got somewhere to go, and I've got somewhere that people care about, something that people can sink their teeth into, that then takes it up from an 8 to a 10 and beyond. And so I think that's really just the key to the whole thing. And it's kind of crazy that it's kept on this long when I don't think a lot of people were counting on that being the case. From an outsider perspective, you look at, here's this force that came in, and I took this thing by storm, and people make comparisons. They say Steve Austin got real hot and Daniel Bryan got real hot. You could even say Obafemi, whatever. You look at these things, but all these guys, by the time they had gotten hot and started getting the big pops, they had had big victories, big pushes. They had had titles. Even Austin. Austin didn't really start getting the mega pops until he was already champion. Like it started building up, and he was the Intercontinental Champion. He was Tag Team Champion, all that stuff. But it wasn't like the crazy mega pops that you got in like 98, 99. Daniel Bryan, same thing. He'd already been multiple-time Intercontinental Champion, Tag Team Champion. What was I doing? I was middle bottom of the card getting beat every week. But I had 30 seconds, 60 seconds to talk. And when you look at it from, I'm able to take that and then become the #1 merch seller. I'm able to be, all of a sudden now I'm the favorite for Money in the Bank. All of a sudden now I'm the guy that the people are demanding. Not because I was pushed in that direction, not because the machine got behind me. At some point, the machine had to get behind me. You can't deny that at some point. You want to talk about undeniable. That was me. But at the same time, there's still some resistance. Yes, there is. Anybody with 2 functioning eyeballs can see that there is still some resistance. We could talk about why that is, right? There's a lot of reasons why maybe WWE has been, gun shy on LA Knight. He's not the flashiest guy in the ring. But let me just say this. He's not the flashiest guy in the ring, but I do see people like, oh, well, maybe if LA Knight learns how to wrestle, he would get a push, or LA Knight's not that good. LA Knight, I don't know where people are pulling this shit out. What like orifice they're pulling this out of. LA Knight as a wrestler, he's fine. He's not a bad wrestler. Yes, he's not Will Ospreay in the ring. But this idea that, oh, well, he can talk and he's got charisma, but he's not a great wrestler. I don't know where this narrative is coming from. It's not like every time he goes out there and has a match, he shits the bed, right? There isn't anything about him in the ring that's going to be dynamic. There isn't anything about him in the ring that's like overly exciting, nothing flashy. Maybe that works against him, but this whole like notion of him being a bad wrestler, I don't know where this comes from, but it needs to stop. It could also be he's 43 years old, right? He's no spring chicken anymore. Whatever it is, he's not wrong when he says that the machine has never fully gotten behind him. They have been resistant to pushing him to that highest level, even when he was getting the reactions that he was getting. He was sort of straddling that line, but they never fully committed to keeping him there because they don't see him as that guy for whatever reason. It's like, all right, we'll push this guy. There's something there, but we'll still keep him at an arm's length. Like the Money in the Bank stuff is probably the biggest example of that. Like 2-3 years in a row where people thought he was going to win and he had it literally fingertips away and then they took it away from him. And it was very deflating for a lot of people who were hoping to see him at least win the briefcase. Now, it's LA Knight, so like he'd win the briefcase and then he would have probably a Baron Corbin cash in. Just because he wins Money in the Bank does not guarantee that he would end up being world champion. But they couldn't even give him the briefcase. Right? Now, if you're an LA Knight fan, that's incredibly frustrating. He has been without a direction for a while. He was not a priority for them. He still isn't. Now, I don't know if this stuff with the vision and not the vision, but with the bloodline is leading anywhere meaningful, but they seem to have some sort of direction now for him because he keeps bringing it up every single week. He's yelling at Adam Pearce, trying to tell him, like, you're going to let these guys gain power again. What are you doing? He's trying to warn him. He's out there confronting the Usos. I don't know where it's leading other than probably more disappointment. I mean, let's be honest. But the reality is, like, to first make him a world champion or get him to where his fans want to see him get to, he's probably aged out, which sounds crazy when you consider most of their top guys are also in their fucking 40s, but they've already been champion multiple times. That's the difference. You could talk about Roman Reigns being 40, Cody Rhodes being 40, Drew McIntyre being 40, like all these guys, Damian Priest. He's been a world heavyweight champion. All these guys have already been there. And so they continue in some cases, maybe not Priest lately, but like they continue to sort of CM Punk's what, 47, 48? Again, there's multiple examples of this, but they've already been to the top of the mountain. LA Knight has not. He's in that same age range, but he never got there in the first place. They'd first be pushing him now as a world champion when they never did before. And that's the biggest difference. So when I say he's probably aged out, not because I don't want to see him as champion. Oh, he's too old. I'm just saying, like, in their mind, I could see that sort of being, well, you know, it's kind of too late for the guy, but like, yeah, we'll push him anyway, but we won't push him at that level. And I think that's bullshit. But to first get him there now probably is not going to happen. I wasn't joking when I said, like months ago, when I said that him falling off the top rope at Elimination Chamber in that Elimination Chamber match was the death knell for him. I really think it was. Like, I could picture people sitting back there, certain people, at Gorilla watching that, and then just sort of like shaking their head or laughing or just looking over at this guy and, you know, like, yeah, see, I told you. Like, I could see that sort of thing happening. Because when he fell off the top rope, I'm like, oh, man. It's sort of a metaphor, you know, for his career in many ways. It was sort of the perfect illustration of his run where he reaches the top, like literally the top rope, and he gets to work with some of the top guys, but then he falls off. Now, I still think he's got a main event level heel run in him. They're not going to push him as a babyface, and I know people still like him. They still cheer for him. It's like, why would you turn him heel? I'm just saying, I think at some point, he has got a main event caliber heel run in him. People love to say his name. He's still popular. I don't know how much merch he sells these days, but I'm telling you, a heel LA Knight could do him some good. Now, he also revealed that he nearly came into NXT as Eli Drake, which was the name that he used in TNA and in the NWA. He said, when I first signed to NXT in 2021, they were like, we want to bring you in as Eli Drake. I'm like, great, perfect. And then 3 days before, they're like, oh, never mind. Hunter wants to change it. He wants to start completely fresh and new. And then that's when, between all of us, we came up with LA was from me, Knight was from them. And there we had LA Knight. I know in this business, you want to keep a simple name. He says they pitched LA Donovan at one point. And I was like, that's awful. No, that's so awful and terrible. And I feel like it pigeonholes me and it's shit. I'm forever a douche. Man, all the people listening to this right now named Donovan are just in shambles listening to this. He goes, I can't do that, but you want a simple name. What do you do with L.A. Donovan? Finally, we settled on L.A. Knight. You know, somehow I think getting the crowd to chant L.A. Donovan, yeah, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work the same. He's right. That would have been terrible.